Yo, Marilyn, why is the letter B so cool?
Because it's between AC. Bada bing, bada boom. Aloha and welcome back to my channel. It's Marilyn, aka Maya, the baby boomer booktuber. And, well, that's a lot of B's. And I'm here with a tag by my friend Jim at Books and Reading and Stuff. That's the way he says it. But of course he has icons over there. I wasn't tagged by him, but he said that my channel name was sort of an inspiration, so I'll take that. So I'm here with the B tag, and it's a really cool tag. So let's get at it. I like B because it has one of my favorite words, and that's breakfast. I love breakfast. It's my favorite meal of the day. I love my tea. I love my French toast when I'm able to make it. I love waffles. I never used to like waffles anymore, but anyway, I love breakfast and I never miss my breakfast. So let's get on with the tag. All right. Number 1. B is for Bildungsroman. Do you have a favorite Bildungsroman or coming of age story? I never knew what Bildungsroman meant until I read In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, which is an experimental memoir, and she had footnotes on every page almost, which was very interesting to me. A lot of people didn't go for that book, but I thought it was one of the best books I read last year. So, Bildungsroman is a novel dealing with one person's formative years or spiritual education. And I was going to go with my ready answer, which I still am, which is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. Francie is the classic coming of age story, and I love it. But at the end, so stay tuned, I have another Bildungsroman for another question. Okay, number 2, B is for beach. He says, be careful how you pronounce it. Okay, beach. What would you recommend for a beach read? He also shows his Beagle, Abby. So, I don't have, my dogs are Havanese, so I have to wait for the letter H for them to go in the video. I don't really, but I'll see. I read a wonderful beach read, but I think it's one of my favorite reads of this year. And it's a Caribbean mystery it's a Miss Marple mystery by Agatha Christie. And I have to say that this is a beach read because it's about the Caribbean, and I live in Hawaii, so there's a lot of, it's such a wonderful book that I'm going to do a review about it. Not so much about the book, but about Agatha Christie and how she changed. This was written in 1965, and her attitudes changed so much about people, about what was going on in the world at that time. I just loved it. Lil from Lil's Vintage World recommended this book to me, and I have to say that so far, of all the books that I'm reading, I'm doing sort of an Agatha Christie favorite reads. This is on the top. It's probably number 1, and I'm not saying that lightly. So it's a beach read, it's a great read, and I suggest everyone reads it. I also had another beach read. I know a lot of people like Bridget Jones' Diary, and I liked it. I didn't love it. But the second book by Helen Fielding, and it'll be a picture here, and it's called The Edge of Reason. And on the blurb that I was looking at yesterday, it said that it was better than the first Bridget Jones. I laughed. I remember it. I don't remember when I read it, but I say give it a try. It's a good beach read. About beach reads, I don't know if that originally meant women's fiction or romance or light reading, but I have to say that be careful. I live in Hawaii, and be careful if you take a book to the beach, because it's a sure way of getting that book ruined. So I really don't take books to the beach. I guess if you go to a pool and you're sitting in a lounge chair at a pool, it would be okay. But at a beach, there's too much sand, there's too much salt water, there's too many ways of getting that book ruined.
Sharks.
Yeah, sharks. That was my partner, Jackson. But that doesn't happen that often. And, well, it does happen. Lately, it's been happening that people have been bitten by sharks. So I don't want to turn you off from coming to Hawaii. Okay, number 3, B is for best. What is the best book you have read this year so far? And that was hard. I read a lot of good books. But what I picked was Quicksand in Passing by Nella Larson. But I chose Quicksand. And instead of giving you a long blurb about what the book is about, I want to read to you her introduction. And it's a poem from Langston Hughes, who was a famous poet and writer during that time. The introduction is, I read it after I read the book, and because I don't like to read introductions afterwards, because I get spoiled all the time. Anyway, this is right before Quicksand. It tells you a lot about what the book is about. Langston Hughes says, "My old man died in a fine big house. My ma died in a shack. I wonder where I'm gonna die, being neither white nor black." And that says it all. And this story was about Nella Larson's life, basically, and it was written during the 1920s. And it's a wonderful book. It's a novella, and it was written in 1928. I think it was the best book I read, that I really, I felt it that I could relate to not being white and black, but being two other cultures that didn't really feel like I belonged to either one. Okay, so next question, number 4. B is for bookshop or bookstore. Do you have a favorite bookstore? I have to say that Hawaii's bookstores are very, very limited. We have a Barnes and Noble that's very far away from me, and I try to go there as often as possible, but it's our only real bookstore. We have a Book Off, which is not as good as what I'm told that the Book Offs in different places are. I think Book Off started in Japan, and since we're, I guess, closer to Japan, we're also an island, we had 2 Book Offs. I think one is now not in business at the moment. It might come back. It was at the big Ala Moana Center that we have, which is a big open air mall. At one time, it was the biggest open air mall in the world. Not anymore. But it's still our biggest shopping center. And I think that one went out of business. I imagine the rents were very high and people weren't shopping much. So I went to the other one, and I wasn't very pleased with the selection. But I do have favorite bookstores when I travel. For example, I'm born in New York, and we have the Strand, which is a wonderful bookstore. Especially the outdoor part where there's a lot of cheaper books. So that's one bookstore. And then I went into one in San Francisco called City Lights that I just adored that bookstore. So if you're ever in San Francisco, I was only there once, but I made sure I stopped. And it's in like the Italian section, and it's a good place for Italian food as well. And if you know that name of that section of San Francisco, let me know in the comments. And I also went to Shakespeare and Company when my partner took me to Paris on my big birthday. Not this big birthday, the last decade's big birthday. I didn't really, I mean, that was interesting on a more of a historical level, Shakespeare and Company, because it was started by a woman that really got to know the writers who went to Paris during the 20s. And I don't know her name offhand, but she gave them a place to sleep. And it was a nice bookstore, but I didn't like it as much. I didn't really find a book that, except books about France, that I really thought that it was that great a bookstore. But it's a good place to visit if you're ever in Paris, you know. And my son works for airlines, so I'm able to travel, at least travel on the airplane for free, or else I wouldn't be able to go anywhere. And I haven't been anywhere for a while. But anyway, I would like to go back to Paris because for some reason, when I was traveling when I was younger, I missed Paris. And this time I was able to discover it in my older age. And I really love Paris. I want to go to more cities in France if I ever could afford it. Okay, so 5 is B is for banned books. Is there any book you think should be banned? So Ashley at Bookish Realm, who Jim and I both subscribe to, it's a wonderful channel, and I'll have her link down below. She had a video about the most challenged and banned books of the past decade. And books that were banned or canceled. Now, most people say, I don't believe in banning books, and I agree. Banning books is not good. And they were talking about 13 Reasons Why or 14 Reasons Why, which is a book about teenage suicide that was on the list. No, I don't think that book should be banned. But I think any book that deals with sensitive material, there should be a conversation around it. It shouldn't be just banned or not banned. I mean, it shouldn't be banned, but it shouldn't be just given out without any kind of warning, trigger warnings, or at least some kind of conversation, especially around teenagers. But with anybody, you know, no book should be banned. That's my opinion. Number 6, B is for Bible. What is your favorite book of the Bible, and what trigger warnings do you think it should have? Well, our Bible, the Jewish Bible, is called the Tanakh, and it's the Holy Scriptures, which most people call the Old Testament, but this is our Bible. And yeah, I think maybe there should be trigger warnings, but I don't think it should be banned. I love Psalms. I'm not going to read you any because it's kind of personal. Of course, the 23rd Psalm. But I think, yeah, I was having a conversation with Jim, who said that the Bible has a lot of stuff in there that would be considered triggers. I mean, there's murder, there's adultery, there's incest. I mean, you name it, it's there. But as I told him, it's the book that is mostly, I'm wondering if in, because I used to grow up with a lot of Catholics and they never were allowed to read the Bible, at least the teenagers that I knew, they weren't given the Bible, and maybe that's the reason, because of all the stuff that's in it. But yeah, I think it's silly to ban a Bible. But I think it has been banned many times in our history. It has been banned. But it just is the same as any other book. It shouldn't be banned. So I don't think any book should be banned. So trigger warnings, if you're reading the Bible, any kind of Bible, I assume that you go to some kind of a religious institution, a church, a synagogue, a mosque. Well, I don't know if yeah, people who are Islam have their own work and their own profits. And but any books that are religious should have someone who's guiding you through them. So that's my answer to that question. It's a little convoluted. Sorry. B is for bookshelf. Show me your bookshelf. This is my one bookshelf. In fact, I got this at the Goodwill, which is a thrift store, when I first started my channel. And it had more books than this, but I did my first unhaul. And as you see, I have big books next to small books. There's no organization going on. I might want to do that. I did buy, whoa, that shows you that there's no organization going on. But I did buy, now what is this called, Jackson? A bookend. He's shy, he doesn't want to talk. But I did buy bookends that said that they were sturdy, but they weren't. They weren't sturdy. So if anybody has a suggestion about sturdy bookends that don't let the books fall down, let me know. Okay, so that's my one bookshelf. I hope to have it more organized, and I hope to maybe have another bookshelf. But I'm not saying that I'm going to have bookshelves from end to end, because, yeah, I don't want to be buying a lot of books. I'm going to be unhauling a lot of books. Number 8. B is for Brazil. Paolo Coelho's The Alchemist has been translated into 70 languages. Have you read any Paolo Coelho? And if so, what did you think of his books? I've never read Paolo Coelho. I know that he wrote The Alchemist. I think I tried reading it, but it wasn't really up my alley. But I do have another book. And the other book by a Brazilian woman, and I'm trying to put more women in my videos. And her name is Adriana Lisboa. And her novel will be over here, and it's called Crow Blue. And while I was searching for some Brazilian authors, I came across a blurb. It's actually from the book itself. It's not a blurb from somebody else, but I wanted to read it because I was very impressed with the writing. So I'll read it to you. I was 13. Being 13 is like being in the middle of nowhere, which was accentuated by the fact that I was in the middle of nowhere, in a house that wasn't mine, in a city that wasn't mine, in a country that wasn't mine, with a one-man family that, in spite of the intersections and intentions, all very good, wasn't mine. I love that. It's Bildungsroman. It's coming of age. She's 13. And the alliterations are beautiful, poetic. So let me tell you what it's about. When her mother dies, 13-year-old Vanja is left with no family and no sense of who she is, where she belongs, and what she should do. Determined to find her biological father in order to fill the void that has so suddenly appeared in her life, Vanja, and I'm assuming that you pronounce the J because Rio de Janeiro, maybe it's Vanja, decides to leave Rio de Janeiro to live in Colorado with her stepfather, a former guerrilla notorious for his violent past. From there, she goes in search of her biological father, tracing her mother's footsteps and gradually discovering the truth about herself. Rendered in lyrical and passionate prose, Crow Blue is a literary road trip through Brazil and America and through dark decades of familiar and political history. So I'm definitely going to read this book. It sounds fascinating. It sounds poetic. And I hope that if anybody has read it, that they tell me how it was. Was it worth reading? Sounds worth reading just by her writing. So that's the B tag. I'm not going to tag anyone because I wasn't officially tagged. But if you love the letter B, like I do, because it's baby boomer booktuber. How can I not like the letter B? Please do the tag. I tag everyone. And if you like my video, please subscribe and hit the like button. And I'll be back very soon with a new video. So until we meet again, my friends, aloha oi.